Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Brews and Reviews. It's Knowledge, and today I'm reviewing UFO Fev and Big Ghost Ltd's The Ghost of Albizu, and I am sipping on a winter warmer English-style dark ale that's an 8% dark caramel chocolate flavored ale that'll keep you warm in the winter, just like these fire beats that we're about to get into. So let's get into the review. UFO Fev and Big Ghost Ltd, The Ghost of Albizu Deluxe, and I love Big Ghost Ltd's production, and he's starting to be one of those producers that you check for everything that he has, because really everything that I've heard from him has been dope. I love the Ghost Face and the West Side Gun or Griselda Ghost project. I loved what he did last year with Conway the Machine and Khan's Slept On album. Check that one out. All praises due. And it's kind of crazy that Big Ghost doesn't really have a signature sound and that there's really so much mystique around him or them. Nobody even really knows if it's a team of producers or one producer. It's crazy that they can keep that under wraps as hype as they're getting these days, but pretty soon the mask will probably come off just like Ghostface, and we'll see who's behind those boards. Now, this project originally dropped in November and was under my radar, but they just now dropped this deluxe version on Christmas, so I'm checking for it. I hadn't really heard of UFO Fev before, but he's a newer New York MC, and he definitely sounds like he's from New York on this project. Fev is short for fever, which apparently Black Rob gave him that name, and UFO probably because he's out of this world, so out of this world hot, out of this world fire kind of thing. For the title of the album, that refers to Pedro Albizu, and he's saying that he's like Pedro, who was a freedom fighter for Puerto Rico, and he led the independence movement in trying to get Puerto Rican independence. He was also known as El Maestro, which is also a cut off of this project, and probably my favorite cut, by the way. The first track is an intro, obviously a snippet from Pedro Albizu speaking, and it's in Spanish. The only words I really understand are Puerto Rico, but it sounds like he's saying something really good. And then after that, we get into the first official track, which is called Coca Blessings. And it is a very soulful, slow-tempoed, bass-heavy beat from Big Ghost. And lyrically, Fev sets the stage and likens himself to the freedom fighter that this album is named after. Got a Feelin' is the next track, and this is one of the standouts. I really love the beat here. It's a nice use of a soul or blues sample, and I say that Big Ghost doesn't really have a signature sound, but he does flip a lot of that soul and a lot of that blues, and he does it in a different way. When you say soul samples, you might think like Ninth Wonder or somebody like that, but his is completely different, although he uses material from the same era. And I know this sample, I just can't really place where I've heard it before, but either way, this is a head nodder. And Fev handles the lyrics and the flow well over the hype beat, talking about the feelings he has and the experience where others might have them that they might not even be able to handle it, such as driving a Maybach, which would be an ultimate experience, or getting touched by Rihanna, even more of an ultimate experience, but others can't handle it. Fev's talking about what he can do with that kind of experience. The next track is Spit, all caps. Shout out to MF Doom, rest in peace. And I dig the horns on this beat, but they're coming in a little bit strong, and they're kind of drowning out Fev's voice, even as he spits some good braggadocious shit that is very fitting for an MC that's tasting his first glimpse of fame. He says, "My legacy laid in cement. the rhyme schemes I've done taken care of a few months' rent. Still, with some good lyrics here, this track doesn't really work for me because the beat isn't there, and that's ironic because it's really the beats that are holding down this entire project, but this one just wasn't mixed right and the levels come on a little bit too strong when we want to hear what UFO Fev is saying. And then there's the instrumental for Danger, where Big Ghost redeems himself with another banger, and in a battling imaginary adversaries kind of style, UFO Fev hits us with probably the best line that he's had on the album so far, and a really dope metaphor. He says, yo, all these rappers out shopping trying to find mine's cloth. Can't be cut like me, your fabric way too soft. Red Imp has a guest spot for the third verse on this, and I'll probably get corrected in the comments, and please do correct me because I want to know, but I wasn't really familiar with this MC, and if I didn't check the liner notes or the credits, I wouldn't have known that it was a different MC at all because he really does sound a lot like UFO Fev, not necessarily a distinct display for a guest appearance. I do like at the end of this song where they're cutting up that classic Gravediggers track, Danger, Danger, the Graveyard Chamber. Broken Promises is another toned down track, and I really like these introspective beats, and these are some of the best of the album. Even though Fev isn't really saying anything spectacular, I think these are the tracks that really shine from the project. And Fev does get deep with the lyrics on this one. He says, I promise to never make a promise I can't keep. I promise myself to stay awake if shit gets deep. Don't think we didn't catch that Wu-Tang Cream reference right there, showing respect to some classic New York stuff. Speaking of New York, the next track is Today's Math, and I can tell by the title it's on that classic New York stuff. That's that 5% stuff, and we don't hear it too much anymore, but back in the day, all the New York rappers were on that 5% stuff. You didn't really hear it too much outside of New York, but it's Today's Mathematics. You heard it on Wu-Tang, you heard it on Big Daddy Kaine, you heard it on Rakim, and I really dig the counting / double meanings on the chorus here when Fev says, 1 life to live, 3 dice hit the ground, 4 whatever, how the boys live, 5 homies, 6 pounds, 7 ounces, and we're on. Tell me how you boys live. Trinidad versus Camacho, a little bit of a different beat here, forces a different delivery from Fev, and again, it's the beats holding down this project, and Fev hasn't had much variation so far in his flow and delivery, so I think it's a really welcome change here to hear both a different style beat and a different style flow from him. And there's even a different style chorus than we hear from the rest of the album, courtesy of Jose Santiago. Box Cutter Jiu-Jitsu, definitely one of the standouts, and this one features my boy Nems, and he's a little bit underground. If you haven't heard of him, go check out his project, Gorilla Monsoon. I love that album. Especially check out the track Leave Me Alone for some great lyrics. And this is a great guitar-driven beat on this, and Fev has some good lyrics. He says, I suffer from a psychosis. I take reality in doses. When I'm in the physical, it's obvious I'm focused. UFO, they wonder about me like a locust. The author of the Bible, the good Lord, spoke this. Some of his best lines on the entire album. And Nems holds it down too for his part, even referencing the Heavy D track, I Got Nothing But Love For You, certified classic. It's crazy how we don't realize they're classics when we first hear them, but looking back, we're like, that shit's not that bad. Next track is El Maestro. Again, that is the nickname independence leader of Puerto Rico had that the album's named after. And this is probably my favorite cut off the album. Again, a little bit of a toned down, slowed down beat. And it starts with a sample of a news clip of US forces attacking Pedro Albizu after a freedom attempt. And I love this sample at the end of this with DJ Grouch cutting up Keep On. And please let me know where that sample's from. I know that I've heard it, and I've heard it on some Def Squad shit. And a lot of different stuff. I just can't bring up right now where that sample's from, but I know when I hear it, I will know exactly. And there's more dope braggadocious rhymes from Fev. He says, at one point, I get away with murder killing these rhymes. Holy spirits raised from the graves. My flow lift the dead, singing their praise. Demigods definitely sounds like a bonus track, but it is from the original release of this project, and it's a posse cut. You got 5 MCs on this, and they're just going at it, trying to outdo each other and just having fun at the same time. We've got Rim, Eddie Kaine, Mooch, and Ty Farris. And Ty Farris is the only one that I'm familiar with, but I swear Mooch is Westside Gunn in disguise. He sounds a lot like Westside Gunn with maybe just a bit of a smoother flow, but the voice is there. And this is a good song overall for hearing a bunch of varieties and flow from these different MCs, but there's nothing really that stands out here. This isn't one of the greatest posse cuts of all time. And for the deluxe version, we have Box Cutter Jiu-Jitsu Remix. And if you don't recognize this beat, then you need to dig back a little further into hip-hop, because this beat, this sample was made famous by Big Daddy Kaine, and that's showing UFO Fev's respect for the old school and these New York rappers that came before him. And I've heard so many people use this sample after they heard Big Daddy Kaine use it, and it's always respect to him. But it was originally from Albert King's I'll Play the Blues for You, but Big Daddy Kaine made it famous with Young, Gifted, and Black. He said, rough, rugged, and real. And it's just one of those samples that everybody sounds good flowing over. UFO Fev is no exception. And Zoe is the only net new song that we are getting on the deluxe project, but it's definitely worth it. This is different from everything we've heard before, and it's more of a jazzy style beat, and it's a love song at that. So it reminds you of something that Tribe might do, and just having a conversational type of rhyme about how they're digging this girl. And it reminds me a lot of Tribe, and I'm digging the vibe on this track. And there's some guitar towards the end that really sounds like Black Star's Respiration, one of the greatest hip-hop songs of all time. And I really think that's the same sample that they're using in this. But this is a good way to round out the album with just something completely different to show both UFO Fev's versatility as an MC and Big Ghost's different production, because he went away from the soul samples and the blues sound into this more jazzy feel. I'm glad I stumbled upon this. This is nothing that will blow you away lyrically, but it is a really good listen, and the beats really hold down the entire project. I think Big Ghost Ltd could push himself into the elite, at least current elite producer conversation if he continues with this type of material. And UFO Fev is an MC that can blend well into those beats, and he shows just enough potential to keep you interested enough to want to check his next project. And I give this a 7 out of a 12 pack. Thank you for watching my review of UFO Fev and Big Ghost Ltd's The Ghost of Albizu. If you like this, hit like now and subscribe to my channel. I drop hip hop and hops related content consistently. So until I see you next time, keep buzzing.